Folks, good evening. My name is Trip Durham, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to the 2022 induction ceremony for the Guilford County Sports Hall of Fame. As we stand here in the month of September and we think about all that we have been through over the last couple of years, and yes, we were all together in 2021, but it feels really good, even in the wash of our pandemic, to be able to sit together on a floor in a building as magnificent as this one and celebrate some of Guilford County's own. So thank you for taking the time. Thank you for being committed to being here tonight. And I promise you we will have an amazing program. As you see on your agenda that's located inside the program, Herb Goins is getting ready to welcome you. Herb is a founding member of this Hall of Fame, and he will offer a few words of welcome, and I think you'll be pretty inspired, so no pressure, Herb.
Very little inspiration from me as far as the speaker goes. On behalf of the Guilford County Sports Hall of Fame Board of Directors, I want to welcome everyone tonight to our 2022 banquet and induction ceremony. This is our 17th ceremony, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe this class, when it goes in with its 10 members, will make 185 members in the Guilford County Sports Hall of Fame. Congratulations to our 8 laureates that are going in and the 2 legends and their families. You join a long list of tremendous athletes, coaches, and contributors to sports and athletics in Guilford County. Thanks also to everyone that came out tonight, our sponsors and so forth, people that purchased a table, individual tickets. We appreciate it very much. I'm going to be very brief, and I'll turn it back over to you, Trip. But thank you again for being here.
Herb, thank you. It certainly takes a village to bring together what is in essence a grassroots effort here at the local level for the county. And those grassroots are needed. The only way they're fertilized and they grow is to be able to have solid cheerleaders. And although in the 170 plus inductees, there aren't any cheerleaders formally in the Guilford County Sports Hall of Fame, we do have one cheerleader that's amazing year after year from a sponsorship standpoint to give us a hand to make all of this happen. Please welcome to the podium Mr. Ben Shoemate.
Thank you, Trip. Good evening. My name is Ben Shoemake. I'm the market president for First Horizon based here in Greensboro, and it's my honor to be one of the sponsors here tonight alongside the Guilford County Sports Hall of Fame. Sport is just such a wonderful way for folks to expand their horizons far beyond their local communities. And to those of you who are being inducted tonight, at this level, it's truly amazing, and we are glad that our community can celebrate you. I will say, please continue to share your drive and your passion around your sports in the local community. I have 2 teenage boys, and trust me, we need you folks out in the community passing along that back to the community so we can have future inductees. From everybody in First Horizon here in Guilford County and across the Triad, I want to pass along our congratulations to our inductees and your families. This is a great honor, and we're very, very excited to be a part of this celebration tonight. I hope you all enjoy the evening.
Please take a look. We appreciate all their work. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Matt Brown and his staff for opening up this great building to us once again. So please, a round of applause for the Coliseum for making us just feel at home once again. Matt, folks, thank you very much. I'd like to spend a minute recognizing those Hall of Fame members that have been inducted over the past 16 years. If this is our 17th, if you are a past Hall of Fame member or a past inductee, because you're still a Hall of Fame member, if you would, please rise and let us recognize you in the room, please. 1, 2, 3, 4. You folks are always welcome home. So this is your home, and you are always welcomed at the table. There are those Hall of Fame members, though, that could not be with us tonight. Those that have passed on, their spirit is with us. We could take just a moment to give them a thought, reflect in your own way just for a moment of silence. That would be fantastic. As we do that, the family of Eddie Bridges, a Sports Hall of Fame class of 2011, and a longtime board member, Eddie's family wanted to thank the City Council and the folks in Greensboro, as well as the commissioners, for passing that resolution naming a local road in Eddie Bridges' memory. And Sam Bridges and Michelle Sharp, Eddie's children, are with us tonight. I'm not sure where you are in the room, but if you would please stand. Eddie was an amazing force, not only for this area, but for North Carolina wildlife in general, so we really appreciate all that Eddie did. Thank you very much. The Hall of Fame class will be presented to you in just a moment. It is worth noting that Jason Widener is part of the 2022 class, but has asked if his induction might be put off for a year, and we certainly wanted to accommodate his thoughts and wishes. So at some point, Jason Widener will be with us so that he can wear his medallion here in the room with everyone else. So Jason out there, thank you for letting us know that you'd like to be deferred. Here's how the program will work. If you've been with us over the last couple of years, it's a pretty simple routine. We will start our first video. That will be for Thomas Alston, one of our legends. After the video is finished, Deborah Stokes will respond for Thomas here at the podium. When she is finished, we will run the video for Thomas Bynum, also one of our legends. As that video finishes, Lewis Brandon will respond on behalf of that Thomas. Then after that, we will roll the videos for our laureates. The video will roll. The laureate will be escorted to the stage. They will sit with me for a little bit of Q&A. And we will do that until we get through our eighth. Now, we congratulate Andrea Cozart because she will be first in the hot seat, so she'll have no idea about the rhythm or my questions. And then certainly at the benefit will be Michael Brooks, because Michael will be last, and by then he'll have a perfect idea of what's going on. So unless I've missed anything, we will roll our first video, and then we will wait for the response from Deborah Stokes. So folks, please turn your attention to the screen.
In life, Thomas Alston launched a new era for one major league franchise and helped the world understand early on about the unrelenting pain of mental illness. Thomas would have flourished on the diamond at Dudley High if they had a program in the early 1940s, securing games as a semi-pro player while in high school and while playing at A&T. Thomas caught the eye of then the minor league San Diego Padres and later the big league St. Louis Cardinals. With the heavy weight upon him, Thomas became the Cardinals' first African American on the roster. Thomas was the highest paid baseball player of his race. 7 years after Jackie Robinson took the field, Thomas and others like him made up 6% of the rosters in the major leagues. Burdensome to Thomas, as integration was not commonplace in 1954. In 1958, Thomas was declared schizophrenic and thus began a battle that he would fight until his death in 1993. He drew national attention from prominent names in baseball, and his story helped others dealing with crippling mental disorders. It seems appropriate that Thomas Alston's middle name was Edison. His light still shines bright today, having illuminated Guilford County in his youth and having lit the way for us his entire life. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome legend Thomas Alston to this year's class of the Guilford County Sports Hall of Fame.
Well, I want to say I'm not big on public speaking, so y'all bear with me. I have my brother Walter Alston with me, James Alston, who was Uncle Tom's caregiver for many, many years, would be very, very proud of this moment. He advocated, begged, and pleaded to have his brother, Uncle Tom, recognized. And for that, I want to say thank you. It is my understanding that Diane Bellamy Smalls was very instrumental in making this night happen. And to her, I say thank you. On behalf of all the Austin family, and I would like to have my cousins stand over at the table, the Austin. And I want to say thank you all for attending. Yeah. And again, my uncle and my whole Austin family were baseball people. I could not play, but I had to go to the games. And so for that, again, we say thank you, again, on behalf of the Austin family. Thank you.
Known as Mr. B, Thomas Bynum Jr.'s spirit and enthusiasm intersected with athletes on Earth in ways that maybe even he didn't think possible. Although his birth certificate would read Chapel Hill, his legendary status was born right here in Guilford County. Supporting the A&T student athletes at his alma mater as an athletic trainer brought Thomas an abundance of joy. A member of the A&T class of '57, Thomas's responsibility with 14 sports kept thousands of athletes healthy during his 32-year career. For every first place trophy, for every medal, for each championship crown, you could see the fingerprints of Thomas. If not for him, athletes would not have run as fast, or as long, or as successful. He traveled and worked on 5 continents, served 2 Olympic Summer Games, and mentored the future greats in athletic training at every stop. In 2005, 5 years after retirement and 15 years before his passing, Thomas was quoted to say, "NCA&T gave me a chance, and later a second chance when no one else did. There is a can-do spirit here, and the training I received here was insurmountable." Many agree that the impact of Mr. B is also insurmountable. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome legend Thomas Bynum Jr. to this year's class of the Guilford County Sports Hall of Fame.
Good evening, and glad to see all of you here to honor one I call my brother, Thomas Bynum. And I'm up here on behalf of his daughter, Nikki, who's there with her friend Jennifer. And we wanted to thank the Sports Hall of Fame for recognizing him for his contribution to sports in Greensboro. His sports bio leaves out a couple of things. One, Tommy was a great baseball player. And he followed Tom Austin at A&T. He took up tennis in the late 60s and the early 70s and became an excellent tennis player. And you could find him over at Latham Park in the evening when he was playing tennis. And when tennis became a conference sport at A&T, he became the second coach at A&T. And with his good friend Al Smith, who was in the athletic director at A&T, much of the pre-planning for the MEAC conference took place in Thomas' living room. So those are things that you can add to his sports bio. But I want to share something else with you about Tommy. I first met him in 1957 at spring baseball practice, but I really didn't get to know him until 1961, during the height of the civil rights struggle in Greensboro. And with Thomas and his wife Ebon and his mother-in-law, Mrs. Mamie Thomas, their home on East Market Street became the center for, or the haven for those of us who were engaged in the civil rights struggle of 1961, 62, and 63. They provided rooms, they provided food, transportation, and many of the national leaders like Floyd McKissick and James Farmer, since hotels were segregated, spent their nights at the Thomas and in the Bynum home on East Market Street. So I just wanted people to know that not only sports was a part of his life, but he was a great supporter of the civil rights movement in Greensboro. And he was a man of integrity and strong morals. And so we, the Bynum family, the Thomas family, really want to thank the Guilford County Sports Hall of Fame for this honor. Thank you.
A Guilford County champion for female student athletes well before the impact of Title IX. That's Andrea Cozart. And while they may not give trophies to pioneers, they do induct them into halls of fame. A high school coaching career that began 5 years before the landmark amendment, Andrea had the foresight and vision as a young professional to launch an association geared towards female student athletes, a harbinger for the impact to come over the next 3 decades. Consider this. Andrea's women's basketball teams during a 3-year stretch, combined with a women's swimming record over the course of 10 seasons, only yielded a combined 8 losses through 159 games and meets. Put another way, Andrea's teams in those 2 sports won 94% of the times they took to the hardwoods and pools. Her tennis teams were perennial powers, striking fear and ground strokes across the net with an unrelenting force. She guided her teams to multiple sectional titles and conference championships. She coached individual state champions, all while leading multiple programs during each academic year. Andrea Cozart appeared in Guilford County ahead of a nationwide revolution in women's sports. Some might argue she came too late. Others would contend that if it weren't for Andrea and others just like her, maybe Title IX wouldn't have come at all. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Andrea Cozart to this year's class of the Guilford County Sports Hall of Fame.
And Andrea, I know that you are first. I know that you will be amazing being first. You will set the tenor for everyone else. I'm curious, the video speaks to your involvement with women's athletics. This is the 50th anniversary of Title IX. Did Title IX just miss you, or did Title IX come just in time?
It missed me as an athlete, but it did get our basketball and sports program started at High Point Central where I worked. It was very instrumental in us having an opportunity to have a sports program.
Could you feel the momentum of Title IX building in the time right before it hit?
Well, we had sports programs at our school. We were very fortunate, and we did our own scheduling and all that kind of stuff, but we still had an opportunity for the girls, but it really improved with Title IX.
So stay on that just for a minute. The video spoke to an association that you created.
I didn't.
I'm sorry, that you were a
no,
part
I
of.
was a part of. It was created by some people that came before me, and it was called Girls Athletic Association, and we had sports days and games. I just helped other people who were the pioneers in it, not me.
How far before you came along was that association sort of lifted up and started?
Well, it was there when I arrived at High Point Central, so I don't really know when it started, but we had a basketball team, and we did play some softball and some things in the fall, and there was a big sports day in the spring for all the schools in our area. And the coaches had to do their own scheduling, everything.
The kids these days use the term secret sauce, like there's a special formula to be able to make something happen. You won 94% of your games.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You did. Michael Brooks, you're last, so there's more of this stuff coming. What was the secret sauce? What was the formula of being so successful?
Talent. We had enormous talent when I was at High Point Central. It was just outstanding talent. We had tremendous tennis players, basketball players. I mean, you can't win without talent. I don't care who you are, you've got to have talent.
There was tennis, there was swimming, there was basketball. How is it that one sport rose above the others in your formative years? As kids, we all play sports, but how is it that one or two sports actually surfaced above others?
Well, it was very simple. When Title IX came in, the lady head of our athletic department, Pat Hester, says, I'll take volleyball, you take tennis, and that's how that came about. And then we both coached basketball, and in the spring, I was just kind of helped with softball and track some. And then after I got out of basketball, a very kind, blue-eyed young man came up to me and said, Miss Cozart, we really need someone to help with the swim team. I said, I'm not a swim coach. He says, we'll take care of you. So I guess they did.
How much had you been swimming yourself before that kind?
Well, I've swam. I was a water safety instructor. I swam all my life. I'd been camp directors. I directed swimming at camps. I mean, I'd been involved in swimming all my life.
Who were your influences growing up? Who influenced you as you think about the journey that you've been on?
Well, probably getting me started in basketball is going to sound really crazy, but I don't know how many. I'm sure all of you in this room know Bob Jameson. And his brother was a minister at my little local church, and he really got me started in basketball. He'd come down to my house. My dad put up a basketball goal, and he helped me, taught me to shoot, just really nice. This is the brother of Bob Jameson. I'd say he probably, in my youth, was the most influential person.
When you think about your youth and where youth sports was when you were coming along, and if you think about the youth sports of today and the lens that you're able to watch today's generation get involved with sport, what have been the major differences between then and now?
Well, now there's scholarships galore, and most athletes play in one sport. When I came along, when I was at Central, we had a core group of young ladies that played volleyball in the fall, basketball in the winter, and softball in the spring. And all those teams were successful, and that core group of athletes really carried our program. And that's not true today.
Who would you like to thank tonight?
As far as my career?
Or just in general, if you like. Yes, ma'am, your career would be great.
Oh, probably the one person that helped me the most is sitting right there, Pat Hester.
Last question, if you had a chance to offer one piece of advice to the youth coming along, what would it be?
I really don't have any true advice. You just have to keep working and continue and practice and practice and practice, so you can't practice anymore to be successful in any sport today.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Andrea Cozart.
There is symmetry between Kim Burrows and his passion for both art and soccer. A lump of unmolded clay, an opportunity to create something unique, is no different to him than examining a roster of players, finding ways to shape winners. Kim is an artist, a coach, a story of success. Arriving at Greensboro Day prior to the 1991 girls soccer season, Kim brought with him his tools as both an art teacher and a seasoned leader. His impact was immediate, garnering regional and state Coach of the Year honors during his first year. In time, he would capture no fewer than 15 local, state, and national honors. As the 7th winningest high school girls soccer coach in the state of North Carolina, covering both public and private schools, Kim's mastery training practices and in-game strategy allowed GDS to win 433 times. This is in 588 matches. In his 30 years prowling the sidelines, guiding both his Bengals and other squads, Kim has been a part of 31 championship teams. Although he retired from coaching in 2021, he is still the foremost authority in the ceramic studio. As Kim Burrows sits at his potter's wheel, no doubt he reflects on a career of sculpting award-winning teams praised by soccer critics from around the country. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kim Burrows to this year's class of the Guilford County Sports Hall of Fame.
You brought your fan club tonight. Congratulations. I saw the bus drop everybody off.
Yeah, it was awesome.
All right, backstories. First of all, how'd you get into pottery?
Okay, this is a kind of an interesting story. I was a PE major.
Seems
didn't-
natural, yes.
And didn't like the teachers, so I took an art class. And fell in love and got my degree in art. Wanted to teach at a little higher level, so I moved from Hickory or Valdez, North Carolina to Greensboro to do my MFA at UNC Greensboro, and have been here ever since.
If you had not have changed classes at that time, where do you think your life might be right now?
Couldn't tell you.
Probably a fair answer. All right, so that's the backstory on pottery. What's the backstory on soccer? How did you get involved there?
Okay, well, I had a friend that played on the soccer team at Pembroke State, and he came to stay with me one summer, and he began to take me out and kick a soccer ball. And when I went back to school, some of my friends wanted me to come out and play soccer with the club team. And if you know anything about club soccer in college, they knock on the door every summer and see if they can get enough players to go play. And I always showed up, so that's how I got started in soccer.
Easy enough. So when you made the transition into coaching, I think the video actually spoke to it. Coach of the year, your first year. Come on, really? How does that happen?
Well, I think Andrea said it all. Great players.
So it didn't have anything to do with the coach at all.
No, I was just there directing things.
All right, we'll speak to that for a minute. Your eye for training, and this, of course, that's the terminology in soccer, not practice, it's training. Your eye for training must have been different than a lot of others because of your success, not only early, but sustained. How is it that you looked at training before game day?
Well, I had a lot of good mentors. Ray Alley was one, Anson Dorrance was one. So they were the best, and so I kind of learned from them. And again, I had great players who wanted to be pushed, they were very, very dedicated players. And so it was, you just had to prepare for them and try to push them as much as you could. And the main thing was trying to get them out of their comfort zone.
But there's a recognition because a player's not going to come up and go, Coach, would you push me today? How did you know that there were particular athletes that wanted to be pushed?
Again, I think because they were dedicated athletes, they had a great desire. They wanted to be the best on the field, and they wanted to be pushed that way.
There's a term you hear during a soccer match a lot of times coming from the dugout, unlucky, right? Because the ball is just going to bounce a different way. How do you train your athletes in soccer knowing that when match day hits, you have absolutely somewhat no idea how the ball is going to bounce?
I don't know how to answer that.
I can rephrase the question. If
I
it gets us
will. I
there.
will say that unlucky is Sarah Pickens hitting a goal at Ravenscroft that hit the post, went across and hit the post, came back out, and then 3 minutes later hit the crossbar. So at that point, I looked at my assistant coach and said, "I don't think we're going to win this game."
Well, then if you're training one way during the week and then you have to coach a particular way on game day, how does that change as a coach knowing that you're going to have the unluckies?
What really does, I don't think it really changes. You just hope you hope your kids will work hard enough and play well enough that they create those moments where they're the lucky ones. But to me, the games were the easy part. Practice was the hard part. And if you did what you were supposed to do at practice, then it would be easy in the game.
In your 30 years as a coach, you've seen a lot of changes. Is there a change or two about the sport of soccer that really stands out to you as you think back on your career?
Again, I think Andrew kind of answered that a little bit. When I grew up, you played 3 sports. Like I played baseball, and I played basketball, and I played football. Nowadays, I think the biggest change is kids are trying to just specialize in everything. And me personally, I loved it when my kids in December took time off. and did something other than play soccer. I think it's tough to play a sport 12 months of a year. I think you need a break. So